Very good morning and welcome to Athavan News. Today Thursday, 11th of February 2016. Today's newspaper highlights read by Edward Udayadas Devasakayam Pillai. Now let's have a look on today's Daily Mirror. 14-year-old boy murdered. The body of a 14-year-old schoolboy was found in an abandoned building in Marapana, Ratnapura last morning. It is believed that he had been murdered, the police said. Jayantha recommended for Attorney General. The Constitutional Council decided yesterday that Jayantha Jayasuriya PC, the Senior Additional Solicitor General of the Attorney General's Department, should be appointed Attorney General. The Constitutional Council met in the Parliamentary Complex last afternoon with Speaker Karu Jayasuriya in the chair. Initially, President Maithripala Sirisena had forwarded three names of those acting Attorney General Suhada Gamlath, Additional Solicitor Generals Jayantha Jayasuriya and Kapila Vidyaratna to the CC. The CC had then requested the President to choose one of them off the post, and he had chosen Mr. Jayasuriya. Wages bills to House for approval. Minimum wage of private sector worker 10,000 rupees, increase of 2,500 rupees. Two bills which would give legal meaning to the Gazette notifications pertaining to the minimum wage of a private sector worker and a decision to grant a 2,500 rupees wage increase to the private sector through the Budget 2016 were presented to Parliament yesterday. Now let's move to today's daily news. Kathikawat Bill inconsistent with the Constitution. Passage requires 2/3 majority and referendum. Speaker informs Supreme Court determination to House. Speaker Karu Jayasuriya informed Parliament yesterday that the Supreme Court had determined that certain clauses in the Theravada Bhikkhu Kathikawat Bill were inconsistent with the Constitution and could only be passed with a 2/3 majority and also a referendum. MR's PSD officers probed for money laundering. Colombo Chief Magistrate yesterday ordered the general managers of 79 commercial banks and financial companies to submit reports to the CID regarding financial and property transactions of 3 security forces of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. CID probes handing over of elephants to Gota. The Attorney General yesterday informed court that the CID has commenced an investigation into incidents where former President Mahinda Rajapaksa had handed over 4 elephant calves to former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa and 2 other persons through a presidential decree. Finally, let's move to Ceylon today. Karu gets death threats. In a startling revelation, Speaker Karu Jayasuriya told Parliament yesterday that he had received death threats on Tuesday night demanding that he give recognition to the joint opposition as an independent group in Parliament. He said while he was unafraid of death threats and fearless of death itself, he asked that Parliament staff be not subjected to such threats and intimidation. Threatening Sandhya Egnaligoda, Venerable Gnanasara further remanded. General Secretary of Bodubala Sena, Venerable Galagodagatte Gnanasara Thera, arrested for threatening the wife of missing journalist Prageeth Egnaligoda, was further remanded till 16 February by Homagama Magistrate Ranga Disanayaka yesterday. PM's special question sessions began. Premier Ranil Wickremesinghe informed Parliament yesterday that the government was facing serious difficulties concerning an agreement entered into by Sri Lankan Airlines to obtain 8 A350 aircraft. Responding to a question by JVP MP Sunil Handunetti, the Premier said the deal would be cancelled if the government failed to pay the supplier $12 million immediately. The national carrier has suffered financial losses over a long period of time. This deal cannot be followed through. With that, we come to an end of today's paper highlights. We will come with more news tomorrow morning. Thanks for listening to Athavan News.